Hello, till now we had discussed all about the non-cooperation movement, their different strains, their causes, everything, and why it was withdrawn also. So that we have seen that in February 1922, Mahatma Gandhi decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. The principle of Mahatma Gandhi was non-violence, but we have seen that at Chauri Chaura in UP, when the enraged people, they burnt the police chowki, so that was a violence caused by the people. So Gandhiji withdrew this. He felt the movement was turning violent in many places and Satyagrahis needed to be properly trained before they would be ready for mass struggles. So they are not ready for non-violent movement. So they should be trained. Thinking that immediately, suddenly you can say, Gandhiji withdrew the non-cooperation movement, which was not accepted by others also. They were not ready to stop other leaders, but somehow it was being dropped, withdrawn. So from 1922 till we will find till 1930, Gandhiji will do many constructive works. He will establish the Sabarmati Ashram. There he will try to remove the untouchability, then introduce charkha and weaving will be started, because he wanted to reconstruct so that they will be self-sufficient Indians. So while they will fight again against Britishers, they will be more better equipped with non-violence and more better equipped with the khadi clothes, all these things. So he was there. But we'll find again there will be a civil disobedience movement, another mass movement in 1930. So here we'll see what are the background. Now that is after the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement, the Congress leaders wanted to end mass struggle and fight British rule by participating in elections to the Provincial Council set up in 1919 by Government of India. And 1990 Council Act, as I told, that was the Montagu-Chelmsford Act. According to that, a Provincial Council was being formed, and where now the leaders, now they were tired of this mass movement. They wanted, if they can be the member of Provincial Council, so within being there, the reform could be done for the better conditions of the Indians. So they wanted that one. And that is C.R. Das, formation of Swaraj Party. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru founded the Swaraj Party within the Congress to fight the elections for the councils and demand reforms. So they formed the Swaraj Party. But here some of the younger leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, they were radical. They are more radical. They wanted more radical mass agitation and pressed for full independence. They wanted the agitation should go on. But somehow we'll find there will be some situations will be called. There are what situations came? There was worldwide economic depression in 1929 to 1933 all over world. That is called as Great Depression. Here the impact in India also, agricultural prices touched bottom between 1926 and 1930. Farmers could not sell their products and the countryside was in full turnout. This is in India, but that was in worldwide depression there, Great Depression, that has impact throughout the world. That was started in America, US. So that condition, that worldwide depression made the situation worse. Now Another thing, what is there? The British Council set up a statutory commission under Sir John Simon in 1927. It was to look into the functioning of the constitutional system in India. The commission was all white members with not a single Indian member. Here you can see Simon Commission. That is British Council Commission under Sir John Simon, that is known as Simon Commission. It was set up. So this is also one of the cause for the, this will also create a background for the civil disobedience movement in 1930. Here the question may be asked, what is meant by Simon Commission? What was Simon Commission? Why did it come to India? And why did people oppose it? And in what way? So it was a commission formed by under Sir John Simon. Why it came to India? Now it was to look into the function. This is the cause. Look into the functioning of the constitutional system in India. Achha. Then next point. Why did people oppose it? Now that was, the commission was all white but not a single Indian member. In that commission, the problem was that the commission did not have a single Indian member. They were all British members. So when they are sending a commission, they are forming a commission to look into the matter of India, there should be some Indian members, but no Indian members. How will they decide then what is better for India? So the Indian people, they started opposing it. About the Simon Commission, there may be 3 more questions. Then the Indian reaction to Simon Commission. Unanimous and immediate commission greeted with Simon, "Go back Simon" slogan. Everywhere the Simon came, that is there, they gave the slogan, "Go back Simon, go back." All parties, Muslim League, Congress, everybody. So they were against the commission. So a new constitution drafted under the leadership of Motilal Nehru in 1928. The famous Nehru report presented a constitution in India of India on the lines of self-governing dominions within the British Empire. Now come another point, what is Lahore session. This is another background. Then one important, that is, event at Lahore session. At the Lahore session of the Congress, 1929, it was 31st December, 29 to 31 December 1929, the Congress adopted the resolution of complete independence. For the first time now, the complete independence, demand for Purna Swaraj. And by that time, President was Jawaharlal Nehru. President of that Congress was Jawaharlal Nehru. So, complete independence for India as its goal. President Jawaharlal Nehru hoisted the Indian tricolor in 30th December 1929, demanding Purna Swaraj. So, the complete independence का demand हुआ था in India, that was in Lahore session. And it was also declared that 26 January 1930 would be celebrated as the Independence Day. Now our Republic Day we are observing on 26 January. So though to remember this day, though our constitution was being, the writing of the constitution was completed by 26 November 1949, as it is written, here we are adopting the constitution in 26th November 1949, that means it was completed. The writing was completed, everything over. But we waited till 26th January 1950 to enforce the constitution. This is the reason. Because as we had observed, as it was decided in Lahore session to observe 26 January 1930 as Independence Day, and it was observed also. That day we didn't get independence, but as to remember that day, next time our constitution makers, they decided this day to enforce the constitution. So Mahatma Gandhi gave the call for civil disobedience movement. It was also decided there in that 1929 session, that Congress session, to launch a civil disobedience movement. So on that basis, Mahatma Gandhi gave the call for civil disobedience movement. So here, what were the terms and conditions? Yeah, what were the things adopted? Yeah, it was decided in 1929 Lahore session. You may get a question of 3 marks. Now, Mahatma Gandhi chose salt as the symbol of unity of the nation. He chose salt as the symbol of unity of the nation. He declared that salt tax imposed was the most inhuman act that the ingenuity of men could devise. So, to start with, they have to break the law. So, yeah, they have to disobey the law. Which law? Gandhiji took this salt law. Before starting the movement on 31st January 1930, he wrote a letter to the then Viceroy, Lord Irwin, making 11 demands. His demands covered every class, industrialists to peasants. Each class का demands को लेके 11 demands he put forth before the then Viceroy, Lord Irwin. But Lord Irwin, he didn't fulfill these demands. So that is another thing. So ultimately, because before going to the movement, we should put forth our demand. So he, as Gandhiji, put forth his demand, 11 demands, but it was not being fulfilled. So Gandhiji will start this civil disobedience movement. One question arises here: why salt? Why salt is consumed by the poor and the rich. Any other things could have been taken, any other law could have been taken, but salt is consumed by both the poor and the rich, and it is one of the most essential item of food. Without salt, nobody can survive. The government had the monopoly over its production. No, Indians are not allowed, but though salt is necessary goods, but Indians are not allowed to make salt. And rather they have to pay tax on salt. Normally nowadays what is there? Taxes जो है, we are not paying taxes for the necessary goods because they were being consumed by the poor people also. So Mahatma Gandhi called tax on salt as the most repressive act of the British government. As the Indians were not allowed to make salt, as well as there was imposition of salt tax. So Gandhiji thought this is the most repressive law. So this law to break first. First it had to be break up. So that thinking that only he decided to break the salt law. Now, in what way? They will make this is the Salt March by Gandhiji. This is the picture of Salt March. Now, newspapers carried day-to-day report of the effect of Gandhiji's speeches on the villages he passed through while marching. It is said that 300 Gujarat officials resigned their post in answer to Gandhiji's appeal. On 6th April 1930, Gandhiji reached Dandi, a small village on the Gujarat sea coast. The ceremonially broke the salt law by boiling water and manufacturing salt. A golden moment in the history of the Indian national movement, a pinch of salt that shook a mighty kingdom. You can see this is a pinch of salt that shook a mighty kingdom. So they have started making salt there. This is the ceremonial means this is a symbolic way. They made it. That means, see, we had break the salt law. Now we can break it. We can make the salt. The civil disobedience movement began this gesture. Now here you may have the question, difference between the non-cooperation movement and the civil disobedience movement. The first movement means this is non-cooperation movement attempted to bring the government to a standstill by non-cooperation with the administration, whereas the civil disobedience movement aimed at paralyzing government by performance of illegal acts. So here the participations are there. This is the one point only. Thousands in different parts of the country violated the salt law and they demonstrated before the government salt factories. Not only salt laws were broken, boycott of foreign goods, liquor shops also took place. Here this is to people were now asked not only to refuse cooperation with the British as they had done in 1920 and 22, but also to break colonial law. So here you can see not only salt law were broken, as it was done, boycott of foreign goods and liquor shops, that as it was in 1920, boycott of foreign goods and liquor shops also took place. Means that was done in 1920, non-cooperation movement. With that now breaking of salt law also there. This is the difference. There only boycott was there, not the breaking the law. Here with that breaking the law also is there. So peasants refused to pay taxes, revenue and chowkidari taxes. Forest laws were violated in many places and people entered reserve forest to collect wood and graze their cattle. These are the all movement side. But here you can see other things also that we will find it later on in the other slides. But here you can find where difference we are seeing, you are observing, there we can see this also. There is large scale participation of women. Here you will see large scale in the civil disobedience movement, but that was not during non-cooperation movement. Large scale women participated in protest marches during the civil disobedience movement. Another thing later on we will see, the participation of Muslim. Participation of Muslim was there in a large scale in non-cooperation movement, because there Gandhiji started to unite the Hindu-Muslim together. That is, it combined, joined with Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement. So there they unitedly fought. But here you will see the participation of Muslim, they will have the lukewarm response, very low response. The reason we will find out there, but here I am telling the differences. While you write the differences, these things you will find out afterwards, those things are there. And ultimately another point also, large scale participation of people then in compared to non-cooperation movement. Civil disobedience movement was more intensified. Here more people participated than the non-cooperation movement. So what action were taken by the British government? Giving to action and arrested the Congress leaders one by one. Jawaharlal Nehru arrested on 14 April On 23rd April 1930, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, a staunch follower of Gandhiji, led a mass demonstration of Khudai Khidmat Khars, known as Red Shirt, was arrested. The soldiers of the Garhwal regiment refused to fire on the unarmed crowd, who forced the unarmed cars and police firing bravely. On 4th May 1930, Gandhiji was arrested, which led the industrial workers in Solapur, attacked the police posts, municipal buildings, law courts and railway station. A frightened and shaken British government responded with a policy of brutal repression. About 1 lakh people were arrested. As the movement was more intensified, the repression also was more intensified. The government tried to diffuse the situation by making Viceroy Lord Irwin to sign a pact called the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Now, when they saw the situation is uncontrollable, they wanted to come to an agreement. So by that time Governor General was Irwin, so Gandhiji was being called for and they wanted to sign a Gandhi-Irwin Pact. It was signed in 1930. By the time, let me tell, there was round table conference in London where 1930, so by the time Congress did not join in that round table conference as Congress started civil disobedience movement. But here in Gandhi-Irwin Pact on 5th March 1931, Gandhiji agreed to attend the round table conference. That with this agreement, the agreement was there that with that agreement Gandhiji agreed to attend the round table conference in London, and the government agreed to release all political prisoners. In return, ये condition रहा कि the government agreed to release all political prisoners. जो political prisoners were there by that time, they should be released. It was decided. So Gandhiji attended as per the terms, conditions. Gandhiji attended the second round table conference. Here it is written. The first was boycotted by the Congress. So Gandhiji joined the second one in December 1931, but he returned disappointed and resumed the civil disobedience movement. There nothing was decided, nothing he thought decision was not suitable. So Gandhiji again returned back. Again the relaunch of civil disobedience movement was there. So now in between 1931 a little gap was there on the civil disobedience movement. Again it will be started by 1932. So 1930, so 31, December 1931 and 31 to beginning in 32, a little gap was there. Again when he returned back, again there will be, the movement lasted a year and by 1934 it had lost its momentum. Because there will be a Indian Council Act 1935, that was also there, some other reasons. So it lost its momentum. Congress was declared illegal. Most of its leaders, including Jawaharlal Nehru and Abdul Ghaffar Khan, were put in jail as boycotts, demonstrations and meetings were stopped by the British government. Now here we'll see how participants saw the movement. This is one of the most important questions come in this context. How participants saw the movement. मतलब who all were participated, which groups of people participated here. Swaraj meant to different social groups who joined the civil disobedience movement. In the countryside, many activists were the rich peasants communities like the Patidars of Gujarat and Jats of Uri. So here, rich peasants, they participated. अब one common question 5 marks में आता है, who all participated. So rich peasants participated. They were mostly producers of commercial crops, badly affected by trade depression and falling prices. Hence, they could not pay the revenue demands of the government. Government refused to reduce the revenue tax. So, resulted in peasants joining national movement. This is the cause. Who participated and what are the reasons? Now, this is the rich peasants and Patidars, they participated. These are the reasons. They wanted the reduction of taxes, which was revenue tax, which was refused by the British government, and they participated. The fight for independence was related to their grievances, demand for reduction of revenue taxes, greatly disappointed when movement was called off in 1931 without reduction in taxes, hence refused to join again in 1932. Again when Gandhiji came and started in 1932, these people of course they did not join by that time. But here one thing, the poor peasants, that was that much, no participation from that side, not much. The repression made them unable to pay the rents to landlords. Their own income dwindled swiftly. They wanted Congress to help them in getting unpaid rent omitted. But normally there is apprehensive of raising issues that might upset the rich peasants and landlords, the Congress was unwilling to support no rent campaign in most places. So poor peasant participation of the poor peasants will be very less. Now next one, business classes, participation of business classes. Yeah, industrialists. Indian industrialists and merchants had made huge profits during the First World War. They now reacted against colonial policies that restricted their trade, because that time there was the custom duties. So they wanted that should be removed. They wanted to protection against import of foreign goods. That is, import duties were there. A rupee sterling exchange ratio that would discourage imports. They formed Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in 1920 and Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry in 1927. G.D. Birla and Purushottam Das, Thakur Das attacked colonial economic policies and supported the movement, gave it financial assistance, refused to buy or sell foreign goods. But the failure of Round Table Conference curbed their enthusiasm. They worried about socialism among the youth as it would prolong disruption of business, because by that time that is socialism was taking movement terms, it was taking. So they were, when again the peasants, so when again restarted it was the movement, that much enthusiasm was not there among them. But industrial working class here, their participation did not participate in civil disobedience movement except Nagpur region. So here who all were participated, you can write Nagpur, industrial working class of Nagpur region participated. The Nagpur region, they adopted Gandhian ideas, boycott of foreign goods as part of their own movement against low wages and poor working conditions. There were strikes, railway workers, dock workers. Thousands of workers in Nagpur took part in letters and boycott campaigns. But the Congress was reluctant to include workers' demand in their struggle as it alienated the industrialists. So, because the interest of working class and interest of industrialists, it will clash. Just opposite. Industrialists, if they will need more profit, less wages, but industrial workers will need more wages. So that will be, if they will give more wages means low profit. So definitely industrial workers and industrialists, their interest will clash. But here we can write Nagpur. In Nagpur, industrial workers, they participated. Another feature, important feature of the civil disobedience movement was the large scale participations of women. And 1930 was the year when women entered the struggle for independence on a massive scale. Beforehand, women were not coming to politics much. During Dandi March, thousands of women came out to listen to him. Eager participation in protest marches, picketed foreign clothes and liquor shops. Here another one, Dandi also one of the map work. We can see. So here, as I told there, difference if when you are going to write, this is one of the difference between the civil disobedience movement and non-cooperation movement. Large scale participation of women here in civil disobedience movement, which was not there in non-cooperation movement. Urban areas, they came from high caste families. Rural areas, they came from rich peasants' houses. Somewhat by the time when they introduced the education system in India, the Britishers, with that some of the Indian women also, the high caste and rich people, the women started, they started becoming, getting education. So they also came out. By the time Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, Sarojini Naidu, they all came and joined with Gandhiji. Before 1930, women who had never stepped out became a familiar sight in the civil disobedience movement. This line shows the difference. Congress did not encourage them or give them any importance post within organization, but still they were there. The limits of civil disobedience movement. Limits means here you will see the restrictions of where in which areas it was not spread much, in which group of people will not show their interest to participate much. That is the limits, you can say. The 1930, there also you can get the question, what were the limits of civil disobedience movement in 5 marks, and in between small patch of question, 3 marks you can get. In 1930 campaign, so one social group who did not actively participate in it, they were the untouchables, now called Dalits or the oppressed. Dalits and oppressed, this name was given by, so were untouchables, it is given by Ambedkar. Mahatma Gandhi told them Harijanas. Whereas untouchables were called as Dalits by Ambedkar. 1 mark questions you may get. Mahatma Gandhi called, it is there. Mahatma Gandhi called them Harijans and declared that India would not achieve Swaraj for hundreds of years if untouchability was not completely eliminated. He organized satyagrahas to secure them entry to the temples and temple entry movement and access to public wells, tanks, roads and schools. It will be started. Dalits wanted political solutions for their problems. They demanded reservation of seats in educational institutions, separate electorate to choose their own candidates to the Legislative Council. They wanted to solve their social problems. And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the leader of Dalits, formed an association in 1930 called Depressed Class Association. These short questions you can get. He clashed with Gandhiji at second roundtable conference by demanding separate electorate for Dalits, which was later accepted by British Council. That time Gandhiji began a fast unto death. He believed that the Dalits would never be integrated into society if they got separate electorates. Separate electorates matlab only the Dalits will give vote for the Dalits. That is separate electorates. Dr. B. Ambedkar finally signed a pact with him that September 1932 is called Pune Pact. This is again Pune Pact signed by Gandhi. He agreed. The Pune Pact, they agreed for reserved constituency but not separate electorate. Separate electorate matlab that as I told, that electorates only Dalits, suppose Dalit will stand, some competitors honge Dalits and Dalits will vote. But reserve constituencies, as now we are doing, in some constituencies reserve candidates are there from Dalit groups, they are coming and we all are voting, not only Dalits. That is reserve constituency. What does Pune Pact? It gave reserve seats to the provincial and central legislature councils to the depressed classes. They were to be voted by general electorate. And all the general people will vote, but there will be reserved constituencies. But he demanded, that was by the time, separate electorates, which was opposed by Gandhiji. Muslim political organizations also kept away from here. The limitation में आएगा Muslims. Political organizations also kept away from the civil disobedience movement. This is again one limitation and the great limitation here. As we saw, in non-cooperation, Muslim participated in large scale. They cooperated, but here we will find not. There the Congress did not find any cooperation from the Muslim sides. What was the reason? After that non-cooperation movement, the relation between Indian National Congress and Muslim drifted away. So what were the causes? A reason for that. Muslim felt alienated from Congress after the decline of non-cooperation and Khilafat movement. Non-cooperation Khilafat movement, it was mingled by that time, mix हो गया था. तो after that movement धीरे धीरे कांग्रेस एंड मुस्लिम लीग ड्रिफ्टेड अवे हो गए, थोड़ा उनके बीच में खाई बढ़ता गया. From mid 1920, the Congress seemed to be more visibly associated with Hindu religion nationalist group like Hindu Mahasabha. So as they saw the Congress is having relationship with Hindu Mahasabha, they thought it was Congress is a Hindu organization. So that made them suspicious. Made the Muslims suspicious. They thought they were not they may not do good for the Muslims as they are keeping relationship with Hindu Mahasabha. There were Hindu-Muslim clashes and riots in many cities, which further worsened the relations between the two communities. Attempts were made in 1927 by Congress and Muslim League to form an alliance. प्रयास तो जारी था कि नहीं, let us come and join, but it seemed possible as Muhammad Jinnah, one of the leaders of League, to give up the demand for separate electorate. If he also wanted separate electorate for Muslims, but now he wanted that to combine that is Congress and Muslims, they should come closer, thinking that he wanted to forgo this demand, provided Muslims were assured reserved seats in Central Assembly. That was his demand. Muslims were assured reserved seat in Central Assembly. Central government, we are having central government and state government, provincial councils. The representation in proportion to population in the Muslim dominated provinces. By that time, one was in Bengal, that was divided into East Bengal and West Bengal. East Bengal was Muslim dominated, West Bengal was Hindu dominated, but there Bengal, that is Muslim dominated area, and Punjab also, now as it is West Punjab went to Pakistan, East Punjab in India. Negotiation failed in 1928. This negotiation failed, it was not being successful. When M.R. Joyakar at the Hindu Mahasabha strongly opposed efforts at compromise. ये compromise करने के तैयार नहीं थे, so it failed. Hence, civil disobedience movement started in an atmosphere of distrust and suspicion between two communities. ये सबसे उनका बड़ा limitation रहा. Muslim feared culture and identity submerged under majority dominance. यहाँ पे हिंदू majority है तो हमारा culture यहाँ पे submerged हो जाएगा, नीचे दब जाएगा, thinking that only they didn't show much response to this movement. That was also a question. Some of the Muslims political organizations in India were also lukewarm in their response to the civil disobedience movement. One question may come. This is the sentence they will give, explain. So lukewarm in their response means very low response. Why it is? So the reason whatever we have explained here, that will be the answer.